I'm buffering. Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. So you're going to see me buffer until whatever happens. I don't know what's going on, but we'll figure it out. I am super excited to be here with my dear friend, the one and only. Can you hear me well, though?
I can hear you great.
Okay, good. Dear friend, Walt Key. Walt Key is Mr. Hawaiian Vibe. I just read that.
Yeah.
I'm obviously Mr. Hawaiian buffering. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi here, but we're here to bring you our launch. This is Coffee and Conversation. Really, what I wanted to do. Walt is such an amazing coach and business leader and real estate professional, and he knows how to talk about a lot of things. And I've sat in on many of his coaching classes and workshops, and I'm just always fascinated, learn so much. So he's a master of all trades as far as I'm concerned, and an amazing human being. So it was an easy thing to come up and be able to talk with him each week, us talk together. So welcome, Walt. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Living the dream. I'm back in sunny Florida. I was briefly in Pontiac, Michigan when it was 21 degrees and windy in the morning. And I'm like, it's time to go back to the Sunshine State.
Pontiac.
I almost took the time to go out in the back parking lot of the hotel I was at and just make a snow angel just to have it as a social.
Surprised you didn't.
I was so tempted, but I just didn't have everything I needed, like clothes wise. Like it was a short trip, and I'm like, I don't have extra clothes to go get soaking wet and play in the snow. But I really wanted to.
Yeah, snow. I like to look at it from afar, like from another state.
Snow is amazing on day one.
Right.
It's fresh, it's pristine. There's almost a magical element that's just untouched.
Yes.
And then dogs start peeing in it, cars start driving through it. It's like, I'm done. Let it melt away. It's over. It's finished.
Yeah. We did. Stacy and I went to New York years ago for a wedding, and she's like, "Oh, there's snow on the ground." I'm like, "We're gonna be in the city. It's gonna be muddy and dirty and slushy." No, It's going to be beautiful. I get to wear all of my coats that I can't. I'm like, all right. Sure enough, like day one, she's like, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
I can't. But to each their own, I like to look at it. It looks gorgeous. If I'm in a lodge sipping on a hot toddy, then it absolutely makes sense. So for those people on my side of things that don't know you, tell them a little bit about you.
I'm Mr. Hawaiian Vibe, and I'm just a smoking Hawaiian shirt. That's all. Geez, what do you say? All of the bullet point stuff, right? Top producing agent, real estate coach, published author, writing the second book right now with my coaching partner. We built a couple coaching programs. We run a really cool coaching challenge called the 100K in 100 Days Challenge. It's exactly what it sounds like. We're trying to help agents make more money. Team leader. We have a couple of 100 agents across the US and Canada. Whatever we can do to help our industry succeed, we're trying to do it. So we just have a lot of fun helping agents.
You do a great job. I'm blessed enough to be on a lot of those Zoom workshops or the coaching thing, the 100K. And every single time, whether it's that or the open house one or anything that you do, I'm like, this is such forward thinking. What I love about it, so I'm not perfect either as far in any way, shape, or form. But as far as
that's a lie. We need to edit that out.
I take nuggets and yours. I'm working on a couple of things. Like I've already put in motion. I haven't implemented, but some of the things that you teach on there. And so I wonder how many agents will do that, or how professionals in general, right? Yeah. We go to networking events, we go to workshops, we go to one of the big speakers, and then do we actually implement it? So
it's so interesting that you say that, because we just launched round 7 of our 100K challenge. We've been doing this for a while, and we were trying to figure out, like, how do we help these agents help themselves? Because I can give knowledge, I can give tools, I can give resources, right? You've been on the calls. I try my best. If I'm going to teach you something, it's not going to just be philosophical stuff and platitudes. Like, I want to show you how to go execute your business. And so every challenge we've ran, hundreds of agents, oh yeah, sounds amazing, sign me up, I want to jump in. And like 35 or 40% of those agents even show up to the launch call to start. And then 2 weeks later, half of those people aren't on the accountability calls anymore. And so they quit on themselves before they ever get started. And so we were trying to figure out, like, how do we fix that problem? Could we fix that problem? Maybe we can't fix the problem. Maybe the best we can do is filter the ones who aren't serious out, so that the core of our challenge is people that are focused and engaged and winning together.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting thing that happened, and we wrestled with this because we really didn't want to do it, but it was a filter mechanism. The first 6 challenges we did absolutely free, no cost whatsoever. Anyone can join. Just say you want to join. And we were getting these crazy drop-off rates. Like, people wouldn't even show up to start running their business.
Yep.
And so we finally said, you know what? Let's charge for the challenge as a way to filter out those who are not serious. We can't make them serious. We've tried 7 in a row. Like, we just can't make someone want to win. So let's weed out the ones who don't. And so we charged a little bit, like $10. And the last free challenge we ran, 207 people were on the calendar invite. About 70 showed up to the Zoom call just to start. That was about 40%.
Wow.
And you just think to yourself, like, God, if you're not even going to show up, I can't help you if you're not going to show up. So then we said, well, we'll just charge $10. We'll call it a cover charge, just a filter mechanism, right? Weed out the tire kickers. And we had 51 agents register. 50 were on the call.
Wow.
And I went, that is an unheard of show up rate to any sort of Zoom. But literally just putting that little bit of skin in the game, like, listen, we're going to show you how to make a lot of freaking money if you just do the work. Invest in yourself and commit to show up. And so it was interesting that little bit of, I have to choose to commit to this because now there's, a $10 cover charge on it. Amazing what happened with the show up rate. I was really impressed by that. So,
well, I mean, I think that most people need accountability, and so money tends to be some sort of accountability. And
we build in a weekly accountability call on the challenge, but it was just getting them to show up for themselves, mentally committed.
Yes.
Right? If you can't show up ready to execute, then you're not even going to join the accountability call. It doesn't help you at that point. So,
well, I'm very excited about that 50 people because honestly, I was expecting you to say lower numbers because $10 is such a low amount, but really it's not the amount. It's in the back of your mind. I paid that money.
Exactly right. They just had to commit to it, and they showed up because they committed to it. So it was really interesting. So I'm excited about that because, everything we do in this business, really, truly, it's quality over quantity. Like, I don't need 500 agents to say, rah, 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 let me do it, and then not do it. That doesn't help anybody. It wastes the agent's time, it wastes our time, it wastes everybody's time. I'd rather have 50 that are like, let's go get this, let's make it happen. So it's pretty cool. Yes. We'll see how it goes on round 7. And then, of course, round 8 will launch in March. We'll launch it every month.
I think having a cost is important. I've been playing around with, because I do events and I do free, I'm same as you, right? Lots and lots of free. And I get, I'm a big believer in planting seeds, and it comes back to me in one way, shape, or form. And I've been toying around with having a charge, but the person in me, I'm like, oh my God, charge. So I have to get past that, my little mental self. But then I thought, what if I charge and donate all the money, like have a charity for each event? And but I don't know if that skin in the game will be different because people will go, oh, it's $10 for charity, I don't have to show up. So it's just a constant evolving.
We still do, like, I still do all of my coaching calls and other Zoom calls absolutely free, right? Because if you sign up for that and you don't show up, it's not a huge logistical undertaking for me, right? That I have wasted all that time and energy on. So it's not that big a deal. But for the challenge, I mean, it's 5 different strategies that we're teaching. There's resources. It's a lot that goes into that. And so it worked well. And we toiled with that too. Like, do we donate the money? Like, how does that work? Like, what would happen? Like, we didn't want to charge either, because you and I are very similar. Like, we just want to give away value and help people, but it helps them help themselves. And I looked at it from this perspective, right? There's an ROI. If you don't have anything invested, you can't mentally say there's an ROI.
Yes.
So if you pay $10, $20, $100, and you make $100,000, $200,000, I can now calculate a very tangible and stout ROI on the investment I made. And so I think it helps people understand what they're diving into. So anywho,
what do you think? And we can talk about economics or whatever is on your mind, but I want to ask you really quick on coaching. Are you seeing an increase on your side on people who are open to it?
I don't know if I'm necessarily seeing an increase. I feel like there's always been a core that understand why coaching is important, right? And there's always a core that are like coaching is snake oil sales. Like, you know, the old adage, right? I've actually asked this question on my social because I love to spark the conversation. You know, the old adage, those who can do, those who can't teach.
Yes.
And so that mentality, I think, is pretty pervasive in the coaching space in real estate. A lot of people hear the word coach and they're like, "Oh, what are you selling me?" Right? You obviously don't know how to run a business if you have to sell me your coaching. And I tell people all the time, not to brag, but I do pretty well in real estate because I know what the hell I'm doing.
Correct.
I'm just trying to help agents replicate that success by showing them what I'm doing. I coach because I love to help people. I don't coach because I need people's money. I don't coach because I don't know how to do real estate and therefore I have to sell somebody something.
Yes.
But that mentality is fairly pervasive. I'd say 50-50 split of people who think that way. Like, oh, if you're a coach, you're a salesman. And 50% who understand. Like, if you think about this, there's not a single industry, there's not a single endeavor where someone became wildly successful without a coach.
Correct. Everybody
NBA
had a
players,
coach.
NBA championship players have coaches.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods has a coach. Michael Jordan has a coach. Like, every successful person realizes that there are things that other people can teach me that I don't know. And as long as I'm willing to listen and learn and execute, having a coach is absolutely a benefit.
Agreed.
And so some people understand that and they will dive in and they'll do coaching, and other people just the opposite mentality where they feel like there's no reason to have coaches in the world.
It's interesting. And then let's move on. But I've been thinking a lot about coaching, and I've been watching other coaches either signing up for free stuff and listening. And I understand why the basic consumer of coaching would be a little leery of.
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you a perfect example and then we'll move on from this. It was weird how it all came together. Literally, this happened yesterday. Okay. Someone had sent me the link to sign up for I won't mention their names, a very well-known, influential entrepreneur in the space, right? Business owner, you know, all that jazz. And they started a podcast recently. Now, they only started launching the podcast late October. There's maybe a couple dozen episodes, but it's a new thing. And so there's an application process to be a guest. And I'm like, well, sure, I've done podcasts. I love helping people. I'll share some knowledge. So I signed up to do a quick interview to see if it would be a good fit to be on their podcast. And the person who was set to do the interview with me no-showed our meeting.
Wow.
And then texted me 15 minutes after that to say, hey, sorry, I'm wrapped up. I'm busy with some stuff. Can I reach out to you later? And I said, well, when is later? Because I'm busy too. So 2 hours after our scheduled appointment, we jumped on a quick phone call.
Wow.
10-minute phone call. And in that 10 minutes, they said, well, you know, we're booked up, 10 to 12 months out for our podcast interviews right now. It's so popular. It's so, we've had so many people want to join. But hey, we just had a sponsorship slot open up. Would you be interested in jumping in on that sponsorship slot? And that'll fast track your interview from 10 to 12 months to right now.
Wow.
And I went, wow, you have no interest in adding value to your audience at all, do you? No, thank you. Never mind. Don't even, just don't even worry about 10 to 12 months from now.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Is pretty prevalent in the industry. Like, people will try to sell you something that you don't need all day long.
It's crazy.
So I understand the skepticism. I really do.
Yeah, the skepticism is there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move along. You had some stuff too.
Yeah, so I just thought it'd be great when you do something like this to throw some data out, just to have some people share some stuff. Maybe someone picks up something that they can go, ooh, I can do a 30-second video and I can build some social around that and they can build their business. So Nothing in particular, just some data things that I think real estate agents should be looking at, especially if you're in Florida. So interesting thing happened in Florida, right? Floridians are pretty happy. The most recent Florida consumer sentiment went up in January, which is, you're like, well, yeah, of course, it's Florida, it's Sunshine State. Why wouldn't they be happy? But what happened is very interesting because the national consumer sentiment actually went down for the first time in about 6 months. Huh. So there's something really interesting happening in Florida where the rest of the national consumer index went, I'm not really so sure. And it ticked down a little bit. And Florida's ticked up a little bit. It's been pretty high anyway. And from the real estate perspective, that's funny because you hear all these national statistics, right? National trends, where the housing market this and how many active inventory that. But it's interesting to note that right now in America, 1/3 of all active real estate inventory on the market, Florida, Texas, and California.
Wow.
So the rest of the 2/3 of the entire United States is made up of the other states, but Florida, Texas, and California makes up 1/3 of all U.S. active inventory right now. So it's interesting that Florida is a little bit happier. So if you're all that to say, if you are a real estate agent in Florida, you have no excuse to be out there crushing your business right now. We got the inventory.
We do.
Our inventory number, I mean, national inventory numbers are going up anyway, right? Nationally, inventory has gone up for 15 straight months in a row. Yeah. Year over year, we're up about 25%, which is fantastic. But a lot of that inventory is in the Sunshine State. So if you're hurting for business, if you're not doing really well right now, if you're not projecting 2025 to be a great year for you, you need to pause and figure out what you're doing and where your focus is, because Florida's got a pretty solid market right now.
We do. I can feel the movement for sure. Interest rates trended down a little bit this past week, which is, just progress, right? But I still feel like it's my impression from the market is the sellers are still nowhere near where the buyers are thinking, and there hasn't been any kind of bridging that gap.
So interesting that even with the increased inventory, short of a couple specific markets, nationally, the prices are still ticking up a little. Not drastic jumps, which is great. That's actually a good thing. The market is starting to balance back out, but we're not really seeing prices decline much except for a few particular markets. So that's nice. And then with the interest rates, it's always an interesting conversation because people watch the Fed very closely. But I think a lot of agents don't understand the correlation, not just with, Fed funds rate, sure, but bond market, mortgage-backed security investors, how they influence the 30-year fixed mortgage rates. So the core inflation numbers right now look pretty good, right? Everyone that's heard the talking point, the Fed's target is 2%. And so core right now was pretty flat. It's at 2.79 year over year. But here's an interesting thing when you start breaking this down and reading the tea leaves. While the core inflation, so there's headline inflation and core inflation, I won't bore everybody with the nerdy details. The Fed really looks at core inflation as their benchmark number. So that 2% target that the Fed is tracking, that's core inflation. That's what they want at 2%. So it's about 2.79 right now. But if you were to go and annualize just the last few months, we're really, really freaking close to that 2% target. So if you were to annualize the last 6 months, we're at about 2.25%. If you took the shorter term, if you annualize the last 3 months, we're at 2.15% core inflation.
Wow.
So we really are getting super close to that 2% core inflation number that the Fed wants to see, which is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, right? Because everyone, when the Fed hits their target, what are they not going to do anymore? Well, we're not going to cut rates anymore. We hit our target.
Right.
There's no need to cut rates anymore. So a lot of people are looking at roughly 7% interest rate, and they're going, well, the Fed's probably not going to cut interest rates much more. Maybe a couple times, maybe later in the year, right? They've already said, like, we're not going to move, probably not a 50-50 shot until halfway through the year. We're probably not going to move them up. But what I think a lot of people miss is that in the last quarter of 2024, the Fed actually cut rates a full percentage point. And the market didn't come down, the bond market and the mortgage-backed securities investors, because we're on the run-up to a very, very contentious election and economic uncertainty. And so the Treasury yields actually ran the mortgage rates up almost a full percent
Yes.
after the Fed cut them a full percent.
Yeah.
So there's some baked in equilibrium that I think we're going to start seeing throughout this year. Even if the Fed doesn't change their rates again for months, I still think we're going to start seeing incremental reductions in the interest rate because it's already factored in. They already cut the rates. And it wasn't just that they cut the rates and they stayed the same. They cut the rates and the rates actually went up. So there's a pretty good margin in there where we could argue, even if the Fed doesn't move the rates at all, we should logically still see some drastic, well, not drastic, some incremental reductions in the interest rate.
So the problem is and that's also interesting. The problem is that people don't understand. Yep. So in our industry, I had somebody not talk, they didn't say the term core inflation, but I know that's what they were talking about. In their minds, they were telling their clients that the interest rates were going to be going down to 2 and 3% again.
Oh, definitely not.
I heard, so I'm listening, I'm thinking, well, don't correct them in front of them.
Right.
But later on, I'm like, you're looking at numbers wrong. Like you don't have to be an economist. But even I joke, I have a finance degree and, numbers are, I like people. Numbers are important, but I know enough to at least have an intelligent conversation and not promise somebody, hold it. They were actually having a conversation. Well, buy now. And then in 6 or 7 months, you're probably going to see 2 and 3% and you can refi. And I'm thinking, oh my God, stop with this whole conversation.
Definitely not. Yeah, you're definitely not.
But I think people need to educate themselves, and I think we, as a whole, in our industry, well, really in all industries, because I touch a bunch like you do, I just feel like people are not educated on actually what's going on, and they get their news and their information from social media, and there's really no source checking or understand the basic foundations of how things act and what the market really is and the different levels and things that you need to know. So it's fascinating. We'll be talking about that each week because you're super smart and I get to pigtail on that, piggyback on that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to chat about as we wrap up? Like, is there, what have you seen as far as realtor? Because I get asked about recruitment all the time. And I always ask different realtors I work with that are in a recruitment mode. That might not describe you, but you do recruit. You are looking to grow.
Yeah. So
what are you seeing there?
We're in that peak time of year where real estate agents start analyzing where they're at, where they're trying to go. Is their current brokerage model the right fit for their business? Do they need to make some changes? So we're definitely in that season where agents start having that conversation. And we're always happy to help agents. Obviously, I always tell people, like, I don't care where you're at. I don't care what brokerage you're at. I will help any agent I possibly can. But obviously, we can help you more if you're with us. So you're welcome to join us. The other thing I'll mention real quick, because I know we only got a few more minutes, is we go back to the interest rate space. Don't stress if you're an agent, right? And you're like, I don't know, like, I'm not educated. I don't know how the interest rates are. I don't understand the difference between the JOLTS and the BLS jobs report. Like, I don't even know why the Fed looks at these things. If you don't know that, that's okay. Don't stress over. It's good to educate yourself, but don't stress over the interest rates. There is always someone to help in the real estate space, right? Especially if you are in Florida, but really anywhere, there's always someone having a life change.
Yes.
There's a marriage, there's a divorce, there's a kid that just got born, there's a kid that just graduated from college and is moving out. There's an upsize, a downsize, a sideways size. There is always a job relocation, FYI, the jobs report comes out later today. You guys should go look at the BLS jobs report when the numbers come out and analyze that. That's a key factor in the economy and what the Fed looks at. But there's always someone to help in real estate. So here's what I would tell any agent, regardless of where you're at in your business, regardless of what you're trying to accomplish. Quit looking for ways to get business and start looking for ways to give value. Because there's this beautiful thing that happens when you stop focusing on what you can get and you just start giving away help and value and knowledge. You always wind up getting what you're looking for.
I agree.
Right? It is an amazing universal law. You can call it God, you can call it karma, you can call it fate, you can call it reciprocity, whatever you want to call it. But when you focus on adding value to other people's lives, you get tremendous value back.
Great.
And it's a lot of fun to do it that way, right? So try your best. I know, we all got bills to pay. Try your best not to be focused on what you can get from a client or what you can get from your industry or what you can get out of your job. Just look for ways to serve people well, add value, and solve their problems. And I promise you, your commission check will come from that.
I agree. And you teach that. You all, if you haven't signed up for one of Walt's many opportunities, I know you can find them at Linktree, which is scrolling across there. You can also find them on Eventbrite and all of the social media platforms. And if you all have questions during the week, you want to message me or any of Walt's people, you want to message him, because we're going to bring all of our people together and it's going to be our people. Yep. And we want you to. We want you to ask questions. I won't call you out if it's an anonymous question you really want to get an answer to. We'd be happy to answer it here on the show, and it'll be every week. So, Walt, you're an amazing human being. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for all you do for me and our community. He really walks the walk, everyone. And I feel very comfortable saying that and confident in the way he is and the way he treats people. So, awesome. All right. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. And let's see if Ted can end the stream. What do you think?
We're streaming all day.